Have you ever felt like you don't belong where you once did? Like you've outgrown the place that once felt like home? If you've been feeling disconnected from the church as if something isn't right anymore, this is the message you've been waiting for. You are not just anyone, you are chosen. The Bible speaks clearly of those who are called by a higher purpose, those set apart to fulfill a destiny beyond what the average person might understand. But here's the hard truth: when God calls you, it often means divine separation. It's not about you rejecting the church or being rejected by others. It's about God pulling you into a space where you can grow and transform for something greater. Feeling like you don't fit in anymore is not a sign of failure or disconnection. It's confirmation that you're stepping into a bigger, more powerful journey. This divine separation is the refining fire that prepares you for your purpose. Trust me, this may feel isolating, but it's all part of God's plan for your life. You're about to discover why this separation is actually a blessing, not a curse. Stick around, because the truth is your journey is just beginning and the best is yet to come. To be chosen is more than just an identity. It's a profound spiritual calling that places you in a position of divine responsibility. It's God Himself who selects you, handpicks you, and sets you apart for something extraordinary. This isn't about a title you wear proudly or an accolade you receive from the world. Being chosen is about divine purpose and destiny rooted in God's eternal plan. Jeremiah 1:5 makes this clear. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Long before you took your first breath, God knew you not just as a person, but as someone destined for greatness in His name. This wasn't a random selection. It was a deliberate and intentional choice that shapes your entire life. When the Bible speaks of the chosen ones, it's not limited to a select group of people in history. In 1 Peter 2:9 it says, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession." This verse isn't just referring to a particular time or group. It's an ongoing call to everyone who answers the call of God. It's a promise that applies to anyone who is willing to accept the responsibility of being set apart by the Creator. Being chosen is not about being better than others, but about being distinct for a greater purpose. It's not about conforming to the world's standards, but about answering a call that goes beyond the ordinary. Being chosen means that you are not meant to fit in with the crowd. You may find that your interests, your values, and your way of seeing the world no longer align with those around you. That's the divine separation at work. You are being set apart, and though this can sometimes be painful or isolating, it's precisely in this separation that your true identity begins to emerge. God's call isn't a whisper to blend in with society or take the easy path. It's a call to stand out, to challenge the norms, and to live a life that reflects His glory, even when it's uncomfortable. And this is where the divine calling becomes even more powerful. It demands that you separate yourself from conventional expectations. The more you answer the call, the more you realize that what once satisfied you, friendships, places, activities, no longer hold the same weight. You begin to feel out of place, not because you've chosen to walk away, but because God has set you on a path that requires more of you than what the world can offer. The truth is, the world isn't going to understand your journey. It's not meant to. But as you walk in your divine calling, you'll discover a deeper connection to God's purpose for your life, and you'll see that the separation isn't punishment, it's preparation. Embrace this calling. Embrace the uniqueness of being chosen. It's in the discomfort of being set apart that you will discover your true mission. And it is in this divine separation that God will refine you, sharpen your spirit, and make you into the vessel He always intended you to be. You were never meant to be just another face in the crowd. You were made for something greater. The sense of not fitting in is something many chosen ones experience, yet it's a struggle that often goes unspoken. If you've ever walked into a church and felt like an outsider, unable to connect with the people around you, you're not alone. It's a feeling of isolation, of being disconnected from a place that once felt like home. You may have tried to engage to blend in, but somehow it just doesn't feel right anymore. That discomfort, that unsettled feeling, it's not a sign of spiritual failure, but a clear indication that God is doing something much deeper in your life. It's the beginning of your divine separation. In the beginning, you may dismiss this feeling. Perhaps you assume it's just a phase, or maybe you think you're just overthinking things. But over time, that disconnect only intensifies. The truth is, the more God pulls you toward your purpose, the more you'll feel the tension between fitting in and standing out. And let me tell you this, fitting in was never part of God's plan for your life. Yes, the world might push you to conform to be like everyone else, but God has called you to something much greater. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." This is the heart of the matter. When you are chosen, you are meant to be set apart. You're not meant to simply blend in with the crowd. While fitting in may seem like the comfortable, easy path, standing out, embracing the fullness of your divine calling is where the real growth happens. The struggle comes when you realize that fitting in requires you to compromise on what God has placed inside of you. At first, it might seem subtle. Perhaps the songs you used to enjoy singing in church don't resonate with you anymore. Or maybe the sermons no longer stir your spirit the way they once did. It's not that you're rejecting God, but rather that you're starting to recognize that your relationship with Him is evolving. He's pulling you into a deeper connection, one that goes beyond routine or tradition, and that is where the discomfort begins. God is calling you to step outside the confines of the familiar, to leave behind the comfort of conformity, and to embrace your purpose on a level that challenges everything you once knew. Feeling disconnected from your church community is hard, especially when you once felt a deep sense of belonging there. It's painful to be in a place where you've invested so much of your heart and energy only to realize that it's no longer where you are meant to be. This sense of isolation can be difficult to navigate, especially when you feel like others just don't understand what you're going through. You may even find yourself asking, "Why do I feel so out of place? Isn't this where I'm supposed to belong?" But understand this, God doesn't always call us to be comfortable. He calls us to be transformed. And transformation often comes with tension. The tension of knowing that you are different, that you're set apart for something bigger. The Bible speaks to this in 1 Peter 4:12. Dear friends, do not be surprised at the fiery ordeal that has come on you to test you as though something strange were happening to you. When God calls you to something greater, it's not always going to be easy or understood by those around you. The path He has for you requires growth, and growth can be uncomfortable. This discomfort is often a sign that you're moving in the right direction toward your divine purpose. As a chosen one, you may find that people start to misunderstand you. The things that once felt natural, your way of thinking, your desire for deeper meaning, your approach to life begin to clash with the status quo. And this is where the feelings of exclusion start to creep in. You may not be intentionally pushing people away, but your purpose is causing you to stand apart from the crowd. Those around you may not understand your spiritual journey or the transformation taking place within you. You might feel judged or even left out, as if your vision for your life is at odds with the community you once considered your family. This is a painful reality for many chosen ones, but it's not a sign of failure or rejection. It's simply God's way of creating the space you need to grow, to mature, and to step into your full purpose. The Bible gives us the blueprint for this journey in John 15:18-19. If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. The separation you feel is not something to fear. It's a sign that you are being set apart just as Jesus was. Being chosen means walking a different path, one that requires courage, faith, and perseverance. The more you embrace your calling, the more you'll find that you simply don't fit into the mold of conventional thinking or religion. But remember this, God never intended for you to fit in. He called you to stand out, to live boldly and follow His path, even when it means standing alone. This struggle is not something you face alone. As difficult as it may seem, this divine separation is necessary. God is preparing you for a unique purpose that only you can fulfill. It's a calling that demands more of you than what the world or even the church can offer. So while it may feel uncomfortable, understand that this is the exact place where God is molding you into the person you were always meant to be. Embrace the discomfort, embrace the struggle, because it's through this very struggle that you will find your true calling. The isolation, the exclusion, the misunderstandings, they are all part of God's process of refining you for His greater purpose. You were never meant to fit in. You were chosen to stand out, divine separation. It's not a concept that we often hear about openly, but it's one of the most transformative aspects of the spiritual journey for those who are chosen. Many of us feel a deep sense of isolation and disconnection when this separation happens, and it's easy to mistake it for something negative. But here's the truth. Divine separation is not a punishment. It is a vital part of spiritual growth. It is in fact one of the clearest signs that God is preparing you for a higher calling, one that requires you to step outside the ordinary and into the extraordinary. In John 15:2, Jesus explains, "He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit He prunes so that it will be even more fruitful." This is a perfect illustration of what divine separation looks like. Just as a vine dresser separates branches to prune them for more growth, God in His wisdom separates His chosen ones to prepare them for what lies ahead. This separation doesn't mean that God has abandoned you. It's a process of refinement, a purposeful cutting away of what no longer serves His divine plan for you. And though it may feel painful, it's exactly what is needed for your spiritual maturation. When you are called to divine separation, it's because God is setting you apart for something greater than you can understand right now. Think of the process like a sculptor working with raw marble. The sculptor must chip away at the rough exterior to reveal the masterpiece hidden within. In the same way, God's divine separation chips away at the distractions, the comforts, and the habits that once defined you. This process can be uncomfortable, even heartbreaking at times, but it's all part of God's greater purpose. Without this pruning, without this divine separation, you would never be prepared for the magnitude of what God has planned for you. The purpose behind divine separation is simple: to prepare you for your unique mission. It's not about God distancing Himself from you. Rather, it's about Him pulling you closer to the specific calling He has for you. Just as 2 Timothy 2:21 says, "If a man cleanses himself from the latter, he will be a vessel for honor, sanctified and useful for the master, prepared for every good work." This separation process is not just about making you more spiritual. It's about preparing you for a mission that no one else can carry out. You have been chosen because there is a work that only you can do, and in order to do it, you must be shaped, tested, and refined. God's separation isn't about isolating you for the sake of loneliness, but about isolating you for the sake of purity and focus. In this time of separation, God clears away the distractions, the noise, the attachments, and the things that would pull you away from your true purpose. As Isaiah 40:31 reminds us, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." When God separates you, He is giving you the strength you need to soar in the direction He has set for you. The separation isn't the end of your story, it's the preparation for your beginning. As uncomfortable as it may be, divine separation is essential for spiritual growth. It strips you of the things that would hold you back so that you can fully embrace your true purpose. This process refines your character, deepens your faith, and strengthens your resolve. It's in this time of separation that you learn to rely fully on God and develop a more intimate relationship with Him. It's when you are separated from the world's distractions that you are able to hear God's voice more clearly, and it's through this clarity that your mission will be revealed. Don't mistake this time of separation as abandonment. Rather, see it as a precious opportunity to be shaped and prepared. God is clearing the path for you to walk in the fullness of your purpose. The pain of separation is the pain of growth. It's necessary for the refinement that you must go through in order to be ready for the work that lies ahead. And while the process may be hard, remember that each step of separation is a step closer to the fulfillment of your divine mission. Trust in God's timing, trust in His process, and know that the separation you are experiencing is nothing less than preparation for the incredible things He has set before you. Have you ever sat in a church service and felt like you were just going through the motions, like the place that once felt like home now feels foreign to you? It's a frustrating and confusing experience, especially when you've dedicated so much of your life to the church community. But if you're feeling out of place, I want to tell you something. This is not a random feeling, and it's not because you're doing something wrong. If anything, it's the proof that God is doing something significant in your life. When you are chosen, the shift begins, and you start to realize that your spiritual growth no longer aligns with the practices or culture of the traditional church environment. In the past, the church may have been a place of refuge, peace, and spiritual nourishment. But as God begins to move you into a deeper understanding of His purpose for you, you may start to feel that the routines, the rituals, and the teachings that once fed your spirit are no longer enough to sustain the calling on your life. This is the beginning of divine separation. As God calls you to a higher purpose, He may begin to distance you from the very things that once seemed like pillars of your faith. You no longer fit in with the status quo, not because you've strayed away, but because your spirit is being led to something greater. The truth is, there's a mismatch between your spiritual growth and the limitations of traditional church practices or culture. Churches, as much as they are intended to foster spiritual growth, often focus more on routines, programs, and traditions than on the deep transformative journey that God has called you to walk. You may find that the messages, while well-meaning, no longer resonate with the level of depth you are now experiencing. The rituals, the Sunday services, and the teachings that once sparked your fire may now seem superficial or limiting to the vision God has placed in your heart. This can be painful because it feels like you're losing something dear to you, but in reality, you are being prepared for something greater. In Matthew 9:17, Jesus says, "Neither do people pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skins will burst, the wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved." As you grow in your spiritual calling, you are being filled with new wine, deeper revelations, greater understanding, and a more intimate relationship with God. And this new wine cannot be contained in the old wineskins of tradition and routine. The church in its current form may no longer have the capacity to contain the fullness of what God is doing in you. This doesn't mean the church is bad or wrong. It just means that God is calling you to grow beyond the boundaries that once felt like home. The process of divine separation creates a distance between you and the traditional church setting, but this distance is not meant to isolate you. It is meant to strengthen your faith. In this space of separation, God teaches you how to rely on Him more fully. You no longer depend on the congregation or the familiar environment to nurture your faith. You begin to seek God directly, developing a more personal and intimate relationship with Him. James 4:8 says, "Come near to God, and He will come near to you." As God pulls you away from the comforts of tradition, He is calling you closer to Himself. This separation is not a rejection of the church, but an invitation to enter into a deeper, more transformative journey with God. In this time of separation, you will learn to strengthen your faith on your own. You'll be forced to rely less on the pastor, the worship team, or the church programs for spiritual nourishment, and instead you'll begin to rely more on God's word, on prayer, and on the quiet, personal moments with Him. It's in these moments that your faith will be tested and refined, and it's here that your relationship with God will deepen. You'll begin to understand that church is not just a place. It's a connection that transcends the physical building and is grounded in your personal relationship with God. This distance, while difficult, will ultimately strengthen your faith. As you move beyond the confines of traditional church settings, you will learn how to worship in spirit and truth, no longer confined by rituals or programs, but guided by the Holy Spirit. Your faith will no longer be dependent on external structures, but on your internal conviction and trust in God. You will experience the depth of God's presence in a way you never thought possible, and it will prepare you for the unique mission He has set before you. So if you're feeling like you don't fit in anymore, don't see it as a sign of failure or loss. It's simply part of the process of divine separation. God is preparing you for something bigger, something that cannot be contained by the walls of a building or the expectations of a congregation. Embrace this season of separation, because it is in this space that your faith will grow. Your purpose will be revealed, and your relationship with God will become more intimate and powerful than ever before. When you're in the midst of divine separation, it's easy to feel lost or uncertain. You may find yourself questioning your purpose or wondering why God is leading you down a path that feels so isolating. The truth is, divine separation is not something to fear, but something to embrace. It is an integral part of your spiritual development, a necessary process that God uses to shape you into the person He has called you to be. It's not about isolation for the sake of loneliness. It's about preparation for the incredible purpose that lies ahead. And in this season of separation, there's peace to be found if you choose to trust God's process. Romans 8:28 reminds us that we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Even in the times when you feel disconnected or out of place, God is working for your good. Divine separation is not a punishment. It is a part of the divine orchestration that God uses to refine you. It is through this process that He prunes the areas of your life that may distract you, and through this pruning, you grow stronger in faith and purpose. Rather than fighting the isolation or disconnection, you must learn to embrace it and allow it to draw you closer to God. When you surrender to the process, you'll begin to understand that God is not removing you from something. He is positioning you for something greater. Finding peace in the disconnection may feel like an impossible task at first, but it is entirely possible when you shift your perspective. The first step is to recognize that God is with you, even in the silence, even in the solitude. Deuteronomy 31:6 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." In those moments when you feel completely alone, know that God is right there with you. He has not abandoned you, but is preparing you for the next step of your journey. This disconnection is not a void. It's a place where God's voice becomes louder and clearer. In this space of solitude, you will hear Him more clearly, and He will guide you with wisdom and clarity. Another key to finding peace in the disconnection is to remember that this is a process of growth. Just as a seed must be buried in the soil to grow, you too must sometimes be separated from your familiar surroundings to grow in your relationship with God. This is where you will experience spiritual maturity in the quiet moments when you can no longer rely on external voices, but must lean fully on God's word and His guidance. As you embrace this journey, your spiritual roots will grow deeper and your understanding of God's purpose for you will become more profound. You will begin to understand that this separation isn't something being taken away from you, but something being added to your life. The fullness of God's presence, the richness of His guidance, and the clarity of His calling. Embracing divine separation is also about shifting your focus from the temporary discomfort to the eternal purpose God has for you. It's easy to get caught up in the pain or confusion of the moment, but when you look beyond the isolation, you will see the greater purpose that God is unfolding in your life. The Hebrews 12:11 tells us, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it." The pain of separation and the discomfort of change will lead to a harvest of deeper faith, greater clarity, and an unshakable confidence in your calling. Trust the process, because what seems painful now will bring forth a deeper connection to God and a greater fulfillment of His purpose for your life. This journey of divine separation is one that will test your faith and your trust in God. But in embracing it, you are not just growing spiritually, you are becoming who God has always intended you to be. The process is not easy, and it's not meant to be, but it is necessary. In embracing divine separation, you are stepping into the fullness of God's plan for your life, one that will take you to places you never thought possible. As you move forward, know that God has a purpose for every step, every season, and every moment of separation. This journey isn't just about where you are now, it's about where God is leading you. It's about becoming the vessel He created you to be, prepared and equipped for the divine mission He set before you. Keep trusting the process, keep embracing the journey, and know that the best is yet to come. When you come through this season of separation, you will be ready for everything that God has prepared for you. Keep walking by faith and know that you are never truly alone in this journey. God is with you every step of the way. As we reach the end of this message, I want to leave you with one powerful truth. Divine separation is not a sign of failure or rejection. It is, in fact, a fundamental part of your higher calling, a divine process that is shaping you into the person God has always intended for you to be. The feelings of discomfort, loneliness, and disconnection that you may be experiencing are not random. They are part of a divine purpose that is unfolding in your life. What you are walking through is not by accident. It is the refining work of God, preparing you for something greater. Your calling is not meant to fit within the ordinary patterns of the world or even the conventional structures of the church. It is meant to be extraordinary, just as you are. It's natural to question why you're going through this season of separation. It's painful to feel disconnected, especially from something as central as your church community. But know this: God does not call His chosen ones to comfort, but to transformation. The discomfort you feel now is part of a process that is leading you to a deeper understanding of your purpose and a stronger connection with Him. Divine separation is not about abandoning you. It's about drawing you closer to His will. This is God's way of preparing you for something bigger than you can currently see. The pain of separation is not an end, but the beginning of a deeper journey, a journey where you will discover more of who God has made you to be and what He has created you to do. So I want to encourage you today: embrace this unique path. Trust that God has you exactly where you need to be, even if it doesn't feel like it. His plan for your life is far greater than your current understanding. The separation you are experiencing isn't to punish you. It's to prepare you. Trust in the process and allow yourself to be shaped by it. The discomfort is temporary, but the growth that comes from embracing divine separation will last a lifetime. You were never meant to fit in with the crowd. You were chosen to stand out, to walk a path that leads to a greater purpose. Trust that every step, every moment of separation is part of His perfect plan for your life. As you walk this journey, you may face doubts, loneliness, and questions. But know that God is walking with you every step of the way. This journey of divine separation ultimately leads to a deeper connection with your true purpose. It's not about the distance between you and others. It's about the closeness you gain with God during this time of refining. Through this separation, you will be made stronger, more focused, and more aligned with the will of God for your life. Your faith will grow in ways you never imagined, and your understanding of His purpose will become clearer. What seems like isolation today will lead to revelation tomorrow. You are being prepared for something greater than you can even comprehend. The trials you are facing now are forming you into the person who can handle the immense purpose God has set before you. The challenges are not meant to break you, but to build you up. God is refining your character, strengthening your faith, and making you ready for the work He has ordained for you to do. When you emerge from this season of separation, you will be stronger, wiser, and more deeply connected to your purpose. So my encouragement to you is this: don't resist the process. Don't fight against the discomfort or the disconnection. Embrace it. Trust that God is working in ways you cannot yet see. Know that His hand is upon you, guiding you, and that this season of divine separation is part of the preparation for something incredible. Keep moving forward with faith, knowing that every step you take is bringing you closer to the fulfillment of God's plan for your life. You are chosen. God's plan for you is greater than you could ever have imagined, and the best is yet to come. Trust in His timing. Embrace the journey and know that you are exactly where you need to be, being shaped, refined, and prepared for the extraordinary purpose He has set before you. Keep pressing forward with faith, because the separation you feel now will lead to a deeper connection with your true calling and a life that overflows with purpose.